They're gonna kill the love of my life.
Casey!
If I don't go back to what I was doing.
Our line of work is quite brutal and quite ruthless.
How far would you go for love?
You steal truck, bring it to me. Then you make your money.
Is it dangerous?
Of course it's dangerous!
Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, with Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins.
All this trouble, all this pain, for love.
Collide, now playing. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Blog Talk Radio.
Blessings from the Darkness is an eclectic collection of writings by a talented and diverse group of writers and published authors in dedication of and in support of our dearest friend, the award-winning and best-selling author Yvonne Mason and her son. All sales of this anthology, present and future, are donated to her in support of her son, who at the time of this publication has been ill and out of work and struggling to support his family due to an undiagnosed illness. Yvonne has been an inspiration, selflessly supportive, and a dear friend to many aspiring writers and indie authors. She believes in paying it forward, offering her knowledge and insights and friendship to kindred souls. Yvonne has a saying: she threatens to let loose the flying monkeys when there is wrongness in the lives of those near and dear to her. So after bringing us together for a successful and fun-filled double anthology by Yvonne, including notable authors and first-time published writers, and after learning about the continued troubles of her son and his family, we came together as such monkeys to fly free, far, and wide in what we do best. G.L. Lentz. This book can be purchased at Amazon.com, Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and www.blackbedsheetbooks.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Saturday night. This is Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason, and yes, that was a piece of shameless promotion, except it's going for a good cause. My friend Victor Aurelius did that voiceover ad, and if you need voiceover ads, contact him. He's on my Facebook page. Between him and my friend Chris Dunham, they keep me in ads. I'm telling you, I couldn't do without the guys. That particular book was published by my guest tonight, and I get none of the sales off of that book. The royalties from that book go directly to my son, who is ill, who remains ill, and we don't know what's wrong with him. So if you're so inclined, order it, and let's see if we can't get my son some little living expense money. His son is also an insulin-dependent diabetic, so they are struggling a little bit. But that being said, those of you who listened to the show last night heard a song I played. I was going to play it tonight, but I decided I'd do Blessings from the Darkness, and it's a song by Buddy Jewell, and the song goes, I just want to say thank you for telling me no. And all those people out there in my lifetime that told me no all those years, no, you're not good enough for this, no, you're not smart enough to do that, no, you can't do it this way, no, you can't do that. Well, I listened to you for a long, long time, folks, but I don't have to listen to you anymore because I've arrived, and I've arrived with a group of people that have been such a support and helpful, and without them, this show would not be what it is. This morning, I ran the numbers, as I do every morning, and this morning, just on Blog Talk Radio, who, by the way, is listened to by Australia 2-1 to the U.S., we were at 4,476 listeners just off of this show. Now, with all the 5 podcasts that I include on this show, when the show goes into archives and I upload it to the podcast, we are at 10,213 listeners. Now, let me just tell you who all listens to us. We'll start with Mexico. Then there's Hungary, Norway, Bulgaria, Malaysia, Vietnam, Ukraine, Finland, Sweden, Korea, Ecuador, Tunisia, Russia Federation, Singapore, good old USA, Germany, Egypt, the UK, Australia, Indonesia, Canada, Croatia, New Zealand, Brazil, Taiwan, South Africa, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, Portugal, and Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think dreams don't come true, think again. I'm so proud of this show. I know I sing my own song, but by golly, My guests have made this show, and I'm proud of them. In fact, some of them have even had results from this show because I bring them back so they get a following on this show. And that being said, I want to do a little shout-out to Andrew Bouchard. He is a new author. He's got his first book out, so all of you go and support him. And the name of this cute little book is The Seduction of Anita Sarkeesian. And in a synopsis, he writes, Anita Sarkeesian doesn't want you to read this book. So if you hate Anita, then why not irritate her by purchasing a copy? Now, I don't know who Anita Sarkeesian is. Don't know why we would hate her. But it sounds like it would be a fun read. It's a romance and funny and apparently a wild ride. So go on Amazon and order it. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do some advertising on this show, I mean, I don't mind doing it. Go to Advertise Cast and look up Off the Chain. My prices are, it was $6 for this young man to have a 10-second shout-out. I've run it all month for him on every show I've done. So he's gotten exposure for every show I've done for this entire month for $6. I mean, come on. You can't beat that. So now all the housekeeping has been done, so we'll get on with tonight's fun. And as I said, the Blessings from the Darkness was published by a good friend of mine who I've yet to meet face-to-face, but I feel like I've known him all my life, and I'm so appreciative of him and just love him so much, and many of you know who this man is. He is an author, and he's also a publisher of Black Bed Sheets. His name is Nicholas Grabowsky. And his novels of horror, fantasy, and mainstream pulp fiction, both as himself, as Nicholas Randers, and as Marsena Shane, have generated worldwide acclaim for over 2 decades and has been praised by many of today's most popular horror gurus in the literary world. Nicholas began his career in traditional publishing houses with brisk sellers and mass-market paperback horror and romance, and in the last 2 decades is seen by many as a mentor to many authors and the smaller presses, which has become to him a passion. If you have a passion, ladies and gentlemen, you never work a day in your life. His body of work includes the award-winning macabre Aliens Among Us epic, The Everborn, The Ragman, Prey Serpent's Prey, Halloween 4 and its special edition, Diverse Tales, Reads and Reviews, The Wicked Haze, Sweet Dreams, Lady Moon, June Park, and Red Wet Dirt. Numerous anthologies, magazine articles, and self-help books with projects extending to screenplays, poetry, songs, film, and a wide variety of short fiction and nonfiction. And he's been out there, ladies and gentlemen, since the 1980s. Nicholas is a veteran special guest at numerous genre conventions and makes appearances and signings across North America. He's been in the limelight a radical gospel preacher right out of high school, and in the years following, a rock vocalist, a teacher, a lecturer, an activist and editor, publisher, and founder of the Sacramento-based diverse media small press, which has recently blossomed into the subdivisions of Black Bedsheet Books, which publishes exemplary literature of fiction and nonfiction, but specializes in horror, fantasy, and Black Bedsheet Productions, which produces independent film. Blue Bedsheet Books, which publishes children's books, and subdivisions in progress. And I am tired. Nicholas has been in 2 of my anthologies, which I am so honored and proud to make that claim to fame. Satan's Holiday and Welcome to Your Nightmare. And with that being said, welcome to their nightmare. Nick, how are you, my friend?
Doing very good. Doing better and better.
Are you growing?
As always. How are you?
I'm good. I am so good. I am so excited. You have been a part of this show since its inception.
Yes, yes, indeed. I'm really proud of you too. Really proud of you on your success with this show. This is where you should be. This was a great idea for you.
Well, it seemed like the time to do it. I can't go out and do events anymore, because my husband is disabled. And this is the only way to keep my name out there, and I'm sure there's some that would say, I wish that bitch would shut up, but they're not going to kill me anymore. but y'all have made this show a success, all of y'all, because you come on over and over again, and you promote the show, and you talk about the show, and then when you come on, we go off the chain. We never know where we're going to go. And with that, I'm just going to turn you loose and let you start.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exactly right. That's well, heck. You know, speaking of shows, I'm developing my own one. And I know last year I made a few posts and put out a few teasers and then kind of got forgotten about. But I got my kind of mini cam studio back together again. I got some webcams with different angles. I got the Minicam software and all kinds of cool stuff. Been experimenting, so it's going to be like a live broadcast on YouTube. Not exactly sure where to go with it, but it's going to start off with not being live. The first couple of shows, I'm just going to edit it and have some guests, and I want to try to get guests for the first time on this show that are a little bit savvy with webcams themselves. So I'm probably going to be reaching out to you. Hey,
okay.
Yvonne. Yeah.
All righty. That'll be fun.
I'm not even sure what to call it yet because I had a manifestation of it. And, of course, we have Francie and Friends, the Blog Talk Radio show my fiancé does. But I've been fooling around with, like, Black Hamster TV for a while, which you used to be able to find on Veedle.com. But Veedle.com has been down for a long time. They've been experiencing a lot of problems. So I've been rethinking this. And I kind of rethought it more into like a variety type, daily show type of a video thing where people can call in also. But so I'm developing that right now. And you should start seeing something from it within the next month or so by the spring. I think I've been working pretty hard on it. So and it's
You're
a lot
like
of fun.
Me. You're like me. You get bored easily, and because we are artists, we always have to have something going on to be creative to keep those juices flowing. I think that's a magnificent idea.
Oh yeah, me too. I just people who know me know that I'm kind of slow to get things done, even though I'm always getting things done. It's like usually you hear something that I say I'm going to do like this. And now here we are a year later. But the important thing is, though, some things, they take a while, and some things need to be rethought before you actually execute them. And so, it just takes a little while. But you'll soon start to see that it is a lot of fun and stuff. It was frustrating at first, but now that I've gotten everything together, it's a lot of fun. So
it took me 5
really
years.
Neat, different.
It took me 5 years to put this show together. So if you do yours in a year, you'll be fine.
Oh, wow. I also, sometimes we do get bored. But even though, especially with me trying to keep up with all the authors and with Black Bedsheet Books and everything, it's like it's really a struggle to juggle my life with that. And so nothing's ever really boring. But I do get like the same old. I have to edit this book this day. I have to edit this other book the next day. I have to do this, and sometimes you need a different change of pace. But it's always good to try new things too.
Well,
it doesn't hurt. It's good, especially if you're still trying to find those marketing edges where you could actually reach a lot more people and gain a lot more sales. And so I think that this is a good venture to go into because it's a popular thing, and if it's done right, then I'll be like your show, which gets a lot of attention.
And what people also don't understand about you, Nicholas, and we have a caller that I know wants to ask a question, if they'll hang on with me just a minute, is not only do you do all of that, but you take care of your parents as well. And I know from experience, being a caregiver is stressful and challenging enough. I only have one that I take care of. You take care of two. And that can be definitely challenging. So for you to say, I'm going to go off and I'm going to add this to my quiver of arrows, I have even more respect for you, my friend, and anything I can do to help you, I will.
Oh, thank you. I'll be reaching out.
Well,
so
we have a
it'll
caller.
Be a lot of fun.
It will. We have a caller. Let's see what they've got on their mind. Hello, caller. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm good, Miss Mason. This is the co-host of the so-called Frenzy and Friends show, Joe Flynn, calling in.
Oh,
Just to
How are
say,
you, Joe?
you know, I'm doing great. I just wanted to get the message across to Mr. Nick that we're going to be on tomorrow night, hopefully, to remind poor Francie.
Sunday night.
Yes, because I also wanted to say, Nick, it's so glad to hear you're doing incredible stuff coming up as well. And also, like Yvonne just said, you know, it's incredible what you do with your family and stuff like that. So that's the only reason why I was calling in to say hello. I hadn't heard from Nick in a while, so I figure I'd listen into the show and go, like, surprise him. Like,
Well,
Mr. Nick.
Yeah, Joe also, he has his own horror cable access show where he interviews celebrities in San Jose.
oh,
That's
yeah?
how he met me. He interviewed me at I think it was wasn't it a Fangoria convention in Burbank?
Yes, it was. Well, what I've been doing, and this is the honest truth, I've been doing a local cable access show here in San Jose Friday nights at 11:30 late at night for a half an hour. And people can watch me online just by going to my Facebook page, Joe Flynn. I usually put the link to our local cable show, which is Create TV, and you just click on the link. It'll be on the channel that I'm on, Channel 15. And I've been doing this now for over 15 years.
Wow.
And it's like basically, according to Nick, because I was looking at the Everborn, because I went to the Fangoria convention. When we interviewed Nick, he was promoting the Everborn as well. And so we interviewed Nick, and that's how I met Nick, and we've been buddies ever since then. It's like, hey, yo, tell me what you got coming up, you know, and all that. And it's like I'm like, you know, going like, this is where I'm going to be. You should try to come down and check this convention out, you know. You'd have a blast, you know. Get the word out. Yes.
And Nick, you started going back to conventions, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just did my first one in like at least a couple of years, and that was just basically almost down the street at this really cool toy and comic book shop that I never knew existed before. And it's really vast inside, so there's a lot of. It was a bigger hoopla than I thought that it was going to be, and I had a good time, but I need to get my feet wet again. I'm signing up for SACCon, so in October I should be there. That's the big Sacramento convention at the big convention center. And then, you know, I'm as I go along, I'm going to keep booking some stuff, maybe even some out-of-state stuff, too. So
there you go.
Well, see,
so there you go, Yvonne.
If there's a con down
maybe...
here in sunny Florida, Nick, you need to come.
Oh, certainly. I've never even been to Florida.
Oh,
it's one
there
of the
you
places
go,
that
Yvonne.
I need to go to. Yeah.
If
so
you
yeah,
come
I'd
to Florida,
love to.
you'll never want to leave.
Watch out. Hi, I'm Nick Grabowsky. Don't bother me. I'm sitting on a beach drinking a margarita.
There you go.
You know, something like that. Because, you know, well, hey, Florida's a beautiful town. There you go. Just go for it.
So, Nicholas, other than getting your show up and running and taking care of your wonderful parents and going to cons, how many new authors have you got, my friend?
Well, let's start off with I get about 2,500 submissions every year, so it's really good that I get that many. I mean, that tells me I'm in the right direction. There's a lot of things that tell me I'm going in the right direction with Black Bedsheet. Anyway, but it's a lot to do. It's a lot to go through, and so it takes me a while. But I've been making a list, and I don't want to make any special announcements yet about people that I haven't contacted and made agreements with, because they want to hear it first, not us, not on a radio show. But I'm working on Jason Gaylert's new book, Cinema. I'm working on Tom Sawyer's new book, Whiteout. Also, God bless his soul, Tom Olason's book, which was supposed to come out last year, Poetry from Hell's Asylum. There's also a Facebook page dedicated to it. That's going to be coming out within the next month. And then there's other stuff that's coming out by Patrick James Ryan, The Maggots Underneath the Porch, which is going to be great. It's going to be great. And he's been one of my top all-time best-selling authors, especially with The Night It Got Out. And then I'm going to be publishing. I don't have the list in front of me, but I'm compiling a list and a strategy. One thing, though, is the other week I was talking on the phone, had a great conversation with Joe Moe, who's in charge of the Forrest J. Ackerman estate, and he helped me out with the original zombie anthology that Black Bedsheet came out with 2 years after it started or something, Forrest J. Ackerman's Anthology of the Living Dead, and that is getting a big jump start.
Wow.
So it's out of print, and I've been thinking about it, so I went to Joe Moe finally, and we got something together. We're looking for some of the top authors in the industry to join in on it. So it's going to be basically brand new. We're going to probably bring in some of the original talent from the original anthology to republish their stories again. But it's going to be a long process throughout the year, and we hope to have it out by Christmas.
Sweet.
So it's going to be really great. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be working with Famous Monsters magazine directly with it.
Very nice, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking for projects like that, projects that everybody recognizes, that can sell a lot of books, and then that way, in the meantime, too, I can publish other lesser-known authors like I normally do, and I could be, more financially feasible to do that because everybody wants me to publish them. That's coming up with all these submissions and things, and some are good and some are bad. And me, I sometimes I bite off more than I can chew, and I publish too many people. I realize that, and I get backed up. But these people are so good, and how can you not get excited and try to fit them in?
Well, and the thing is, Nick, when you and I both remember when we started out in the dark ages, getting published was second to skateboarding on your head. I mean, it was almost an impossible feat.
Yeah.
And in order to pay forward our good fortune, and we've both been severely blessed on so many levels, it's almost impossible to say no because that's someone else's dream, and we're dream makers.
Yes.
That's what we do. And so there may come a time, my friend, when you're going to have to hire somebody to help you.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'm going to be looking for interns, and I have along the way had some help with editors, with some foreign translators, and things just kind of get lost in the shuffle. And so I haven't really paid that much attention to, especially foreign translations yet again, like I should. But I do need some help. But the thing is, I want to be able to pay the help too.
Right.
I don't want people really working for free. It's not really fair to them.
Well, but what would be, like you said, what would be a win-win was if you got, let's say, for instance, either a high school senior that is, now, ladies and gentlemen, don't get your panties in a wad about what I'm fixing to say. It's the only way I know how to express it. I'm a wordsmith, not a speaker, except when I'm public speaking. But get a high school senior that is very dedicated, very English literate, has a willingness to learn, and at some point may want to publish or own their own publishing company, or even someone in college who is studying literature.
That is true. That is true. That would be an ideal person. You'd have to find somebody.
You know what you could do? Reach out to the colleges and the universities, because there may be an internship program that you could get in on where an intern has to go outside of the school to perform an internship as credit for that class.
Yeah, that's true. And ideas have been brought up to me before, too, I have to admit. It's just getting to actually do it. And I think I'm kind of one thing is I need a good kick in the pants because I've become such a homebody, just staying here most of the time. It's like it's sometimes scary to go out, I have to admit, now. I used to be so sociable. I've become a hermit.
I understand that. Now, I'm going to change gears for just a minute because we didn't talk about this the last time you were on the show, and I think it's important that people that are writing children's books know that you publish children's books, and you do a very good job of it. Explain that imprint that you have and how people would approach you with what they wanted to publish as far as a children's book, and what ages.
Yeah, and I do get a lot of children's book submissions, too, since I opened up Blue Bedsheet Books. I think there's something that it's like children's books, and the people who write them have something within them that gives them the ability to write horror well, for the most part. There's something that makes them both related. Like Roald Dahl, for example. I mean, his stuff is scary stuff, and he's written some horror stuff, but he's known for children's books.
Wow.
Like Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But so I think my attraction to it has something to do with you could get away with anything in the book. You could make the story as wild as you can, and I'm all about imagination and creativity, not just, books about reality most of the time. And then you could add, like, moral fortitude to a children's book and make it a learning experience as well as a creative and imaginative experience. When I was with my ex, she had this idea of Flatty Cat, a cat that gets run over by a car but lives, and he's flat, and he makes like oddball friends that have their own stories, and they always get together at a milk bar and tell these stories and stuff. And I thought, I'm just starting out learning how to do book covers and things. Let me do more illustrations and expand. Let's make this into a children's book. It turned out to be Flatty Cat Tales of an Urban Feline, which it still exists, as a matter of fact, even though me and the author are separated, and we have a son, Charlie, though, that keeps us together. And we have this book, too. And so I wanted to still keep it available because I'm proud of it. And that led to, let's publish it. Now that I know how to do this, I can design interiors well by that point, and I got the right software, and I opened it up to where I'm going to publish a few a year now, at least. And then came Anne-Marie Martin last year, who I published her book, The Hollow, a couple of years back, and she came to me with her idea with the Spinfords. So I published that, and it sold very, very well. It's still selling very well. It's a great, great book. She actually, I wish every author was like this. She actually went to schools and had entire classrooms that she would read the book to. She bought 100 authors' copies at one point to pass out, to give out, or and made a big hoopla out of it. And then she would post these with photos all over the internet. And it was such a great experience to be the publisher of a book like that with not just her. he's going to kill me. I forgot the name of the illustrator, but wonderful illustrations. And the process was neat. It's a lot of back and forth to it and stuff. There are things that I thought that looked good, but the illustrator wanted something a different way, and I would go, but I would do it anyway. And then, and then at the end we have this product that where everybody's happy with, and it's a great experience. So now that I'm fully capable of doing that, why not just publish horror if I want to publish a few children's books? The thing is with me and with owning my own company is I could do anything I want. So,
that's true.
So I choose to, I can publish just about anything, and children's books are fun. And that's the bottom line.
How many children's books have you published? What are the names of them? In case someone, no, y'all can't go now. You have to wait till after the show. In case someone says, oh, I've got a child that's 7 years old. Do you? And I know you probably publish some of those.
Yeah, I've got some that I haven't spoken to the authors with yet. That I'm thinking about extending contracts to. But currently, right now, we just have two. We have Flatty Cat, done by myself and Phyllis Hoppert, and we've got Anne-Marie Martin's book, The Spinfords.
And that is a cute little book.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, you've seen it. Yes, yeah, it's a great book. So so I'm going to be making some announcements soon, and as well as Black Bedsheet Books horror line and everything too. So a lot of exciting books coming out all over, actually.
And then you're going to be going to the cons, and you're starting your radio show. What else are you going to be doing?
Oh boy, those are the big ones for now, and just spending the rest of the year just publishing books, coming up with new marketing ideas and stuff, and then getting ready for the big Halloween thing that we always have. But this is kind of important, and I keep forgetting, but we're getting closer to it, is next year is going to be Black Bedsheet Books' 10th anniversary.
Are you
kidding me? So we started in 2008. We started in 2008, and next year is 2018. So that's 10 years I've been doing this for, a whole decade practically.
Nick, has it been 10 years? Because I remember when you started it.
Yes, exactly. I remember the month. That's when, Vern, what's his face?
Yes.
That whole debacle for me, all that ended in October of that year. So technically, and that's when I decided to start my own business. I think I came up with the name and everything that month too.
Yeah,
so,
you did.
So technically, I'm placing Halloween, October 31st, as the big 2018 extravaganza for the 10-year celebration, whatever that's going to be.
Well, I'm gonna tell you some gossip. I don't know if you heard the show the other night when I had Andrea on there, but he's popped up again with another company.
Oh, yes. I know. We had a little talk about that, remember?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask you about that. I wasn't sure if it would be appropriate to ask you on your show or not. But,
absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the backstory. I'm going to give people the backstory. The backstory, ladies and gentlemen, is Nicholas, myself, Andrea Dean Van Squick, Tom Fertrell, Louisa Vinny, Fran Orenstein, and Andy Keller, and there were several others, were involved with a publishing company called Triad Publishing Company. It was owned by Vern Firestone. Vern screwed us all big time. But in screwing us all big time, Vern did us the biggest favor in the world because he introduced us all to each other, and when he screwed us all, we all came together collectively, surrounded each other, pulled each other up by each other's bootstraps, wrapped our arms around each other, and never looked back. Nicholas got his own publishing company. I published 18 books and haven't stopped. Andy Keller's publishing books like there's no tomorrow. Fran B. Orenstein is publishing books like there's no tomorrow. And he disappeared for a while, and we couldn't find him. But then I got a message from a friend of mine that said, you were with Triad? I said, yes. She said, oh, my God. She said, let me tell you something. I said, okay, tell me. Blue Harvest Creations, ladies and gentlemen, out of Michigan. He left Sarasota and went to Michigan. Blue Harvest Creations out of Michigan. It is owned and operated by him and his wife, Joni. And please do not get involved with this man, because he will not only wreck you mentally, emotionally, but he will ruin you financially. Because now what he's doing, Nick, is they've gone to a publishing imprint, and he gives the authors one price, and then he nickels and dimes them to death.
Well, that sounds like him.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
If he says, okay, I'll publish your book for, let's say, $500, then he wants another, for the sake of this discussion, he wants another X amount of dollars to edit it. He wants another X amount of dollars for the book cover. He wants another X amount of dollars for this and for that. Now, you and I both, you own Black Bed Sheets. I'm part owner of another publishing company, and when we give a price, that's the full price. We don't nickel and dime our people to death, because, number one, it's wrong. Number two, you've got struggling authors who want to make their dream real. But he does. And if my friend crossed him, or when she crossed him and said, no, I've had enough, they dropped her from the group page. Then they badmouthed her to the other authors who unfriended her and blocked her. And then one of them and then one of them came back and said, I'm so sorry. You were right, because he did her the same way.
Wow, that's what happens. I've heard that story many times with other small press companies, and it's a shame, but there's a lot of them like that. They want to take advantage of the fact that you want your book to be published. You want to be an author. You want to you have this dream, and they take it and they talk you into spending all this money for nothing, and it's ridiculous. A lot of people. Well, I guess it's not just the book industry. I mean,
it's the record industry.
There's people out there wanting to take advantage of us every single day.
That's true, but in the book industry, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been taken by a small press like this, if you've been taken to the cleaners, or they've taken your money and disappeared. See, we never got paid our royalties. None of us ever got paid. He took our money and left. So if this has ever happened to you and you wonder, now how am I going to get my book published because so-and-so had it and now they're gone, all you have to do is change one word in that book, just one word, and it's a whole new book. You can use the same title. I would change the cover, especially if the prior small press did the cover, but you can have the same title and just change one word in it. It could be an and, a thee, an I, or he, or she. Just change one word, and that makes it an entire new book. So you haven't lost your dream. Just change one word. So you may get some new submissions for that one, my friend.
And they're we're talking about small presses too, so especially small presses that do bad things. Yes. So it's very hard for them to actually come after you anyway. I mean, it's just going to further expose them more.
Well, and the sad part, and you know this yourself, because you started out back in the 80s and you got burned back in the 80s.
Yeah, I did by a big publishing house.
So see, it's not just small presses.
Yeah, that back then, I'm still grateful to that publisher for actually publishing me and getting me in the bookstores next to King and Kuntz and all my favorites, and in the supermarkets, and blah blah blah. They did that for me. It's just that, and they did that with Prey, Serpent's Prey, The Ragman, and Halloween 4. But the thing is, I never got paid for them.
See?
Never got paid. I did quit my job at the time as a security guard, and they did give me work for hire jobs. That's how I became a romance writer, because they paid me to do that. But they never paid me for the stuff that it's just like Halloween 4. Just I never even got a contract for it. They were supposed to send me one, and never got that. And then when I tried to do something legally with them, they filed for bankruptcy and went out of business. And then all the lawyers would tell me, well, it's going to be a hassle. I don't think it's going to work out. Why don't you just write more books and start fresh? So that's basically that in a nutshell.
And of course, the lawyers don't. And of course, the lawyers don't understand. It's like you can't replace that book that they've screwed you over. You can't go out and do another one because it's not the same thing. I've heard people say when someone's lost a child, well, have another baby. No, they're not puppies. You can't replace them.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But you can republish them. That is
very true.
Yeah, so later on, when I figured out how to publish things myself, I started with all the old stuff first, like Pray, Serpent, Pray, republished that again. That's, that was back in the days when I was learning how to format stuff right, and I did a lot of research. Even some of the big authors were self-publishing. So I thought,
some of them have gone back to self-publishing. Oh, and Joe, you may have heard this one too. Have you guys heard the latest? The Big Six now are adding to their quiver of arrows. They are hiring a sensitivity editor. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So if I write a book and it has language in it that might offend someone, they take it out.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Sensitivity. So that's what they mean by sensitivity?
Yes.
I think people are being so politically correct. Us writers have a freedom to write whatever we want.
Absolutely. And I told my husband that last night. He said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Yes, honey. That would be like my Civil War historical novels. I'm not going to say, well, the man that came over on the slave ship was an African American. He wasn't. He was a slave. Let's call it like it is."
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's sort of like, to me, hey, I'm fine. It's like I had a discussion with another friend of Nick's, Fred Weehee. We were talking, and he had brought me over a copy of his latest book, Fright House, and he was about ready to go do book signings and stuff like that. And the parents would come up to them and say, well, is there any sex or violence in this? And he goes, well, I don't mind about the, or the foul language. And he goes, not really, but there is some violence and stuff like that. It didn't seem to faze the parents, It was more about the language. And, if you had, like, a beep and, whatever, they might say, oh, no, I don't think my kids should read this. But, hey, if there's sex and violence, it's cool.
Well, what irritates me is they're taking the classics out of the schools. They took out Huckleberry Finn. They're taking out Slaughterhouse-Five. They're taking out To Kill a Mockingbird. Really, people? Your little sensitive ears and brain can handle things that resonate. Get over yourself. So
profanity is just a way that we talk to each other, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, it's just what humans do. And if you're telling a story about certain things, some people do swear, so have them swear in it. And,
exactly. Right.
It's just censorship sucks.
Right, it does. I'm for free speech. I'm all for, hey, those books are classic. You should read them. They're in school lectures. At least I know during high school and some college, they say, hey, here's your books you should be reading if you're taking a class on whatever. But here's the books you should be reading, the classics. No offense to any other authors, But
well, you read the classics for a reason because there's history in them. Even though they're fiction, there's history in them. And what irritates me is why should I censor my book just because little Susie Q doesn't have sense enough not to pick it up and read it? That's not my problem.
It seems like we kind of went backwards because back in my school days, there was always the religious right. There was always people telling other people what to do. But all those books that we're talking about right now, they were just normal back then. Even in high school, there would be English class. We would read Romeo and Juliet. Then they would bring in the movie, and nobody got upset. All those kids would talk about it. Ooh, there's a breast that's going to be shown in this Romeo and Juliet movie. But nobody cared. It was and now they would. Now schools are turning into concentration camps practically.
Well, what they're doing is they're brainwashing these children to think like little minions that just march in a straight line and think the same thing. And what's going to happen is a lot of mainstream authors are going to go indie because if you are using language that is conducive to the time period, the culture, and the storyline and the character, if you leave that language out, it's like punching a hole in a paper bag. It's worthless.
I heard.
Maybe in some kind of sick way it might work to the advantage of us independents if that happens, because the people that like the swearing and that miss it in the big publishers' books, they'll turn to us. We'll get more of a following because we're the ones that have all the language.
And we don't care what we write. Nobody tells us what. Nobody tells us no anymore.
Right. It's like I look at it from a point of view as a TV show host that deals in horror and sci-fi and stuff like that. Hey, I understand. Hey, I'm not going to tell your little, 10-year-old kid, hey, go watch this movie. It's full of blood, guts, nudity. I'm not one of those people to say that, But I would say to a little kid, hey, if you want to watch a really fun movie, watch a movie like Monster Squad or, Gremlins. At least that's not too offensive. It's not too scary.
Well, there's movies and books that are designed for kids, too. I mean, I think we all agree that we don't want, F words coming out of 10-year-olds, but...
well, if somebody, when I was in 7th grade, now I was 12 years old in 7th grade, and as a book report, we had to read Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. Yes. Then we had to do a book report. Now I was 12 years old, and then I turned around and read Helter Skelter. If somebody had told me, Yvonne, you can't read that, or we're going to censor it because it's violent and it's brutal, I'd have said, watch this. I'd have read it just to prove it to them.
Right. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I agree. No one should tell anybody, hey, you can't read this, you can't, if you, as I would say, if someone says, oh, hey, I don't want to read that, then, hey, that's your choice. You're missing out. Not my problem.
But Nicholas, you may wind up with 3,000 submissions at one time.
Yeah. and still, that would be a good thing.
That's right.
To everybody,
let's see.
So remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you start seeing holes in your book or your book doesn't make sense anymore because you feel like that oomph is missing or language is missing that should be there, blame it on the Big Six because they've hired sensitivity editors.
There's no sensitivity editors at Black Bed Sheet.
Yeah, sure. It's really me. It's really me, really. They just send me a note saying, hey, yeah, go ahead. No. It cuts the bill. Just go ahead. No. And that will be a quarter, please. No, I'm teasing. But I as I said, I totally agree with everything you guys are saying because I we grew up, I believe, in a certain time period where, everything, it's like I'm going like, wait a minute, I can't, because I live next door to my neighbors now for 40 some odd years. And we were like, it's really weird how, nothing really changes except for the neighbors, but we stayed the same. But we remember when, hey, when we were little kids, we used to go have fun and play outside during the summertime. Nowadays, kids, have their cell phones, the internet, the whole 9 yards, where, remember, we used to have rotary phones where you had it, and go like, hey, you want to come outside and play? But now it's like, hey, let's call people.
That's one thing about editing, though, too, is not just the swear words, editing out them and stuff. One thing that I don't believe in is editing too much of an author's book, like, rearranging, like, plot points because you thought that theirs was weak, or rearranging, like, whole entire paragraphs to suit something that you thought would be better. I believe in more of there is that to an extent, but you have to be true to the author, and if you were inspired enough to publish their book, as is in the first place, then, I didn't believe in them enough, you wouldn't, really take their voice away.
That's
You'd be
true,
very sensitive. You'd be a sensitive editor in that regard, and taking their voice away by hacking up their book to bits.
If
I
you
don't believe in
hack
that
their book
at all.
up, if you hack up their book, then it becomes your book and not theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And publishers do that.
Yes, they do. The Big Six is known for that. And two, as indies, we get to keep control of our cover, of our marketing, of our content. I have found that authors with the Big Six have to get permission to appear in places.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, they do have to get permission in a lot of regards, yeah. There's even some small presses that I've come across that have that rule too, and it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, because isn't the idea to brand?
Yeah. It'd be like, go out and do whatever you want to do to promote your book.
Exactly.
That's right. You have to have my permission.
Well, Nicholas, my friend,
go ahead.
Would you believe this hour's almost up?
Oh wow, yeah, they do go by fast.
Yes, they do. So, one thing I want you to say, or to reiterate, is this business is not for quitters. And two, if you're a dreamer, you don't have time to quit. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, you can never quit. You can't give up. You could change your method of how you get there. You could do all kinds of things, but never give up. Just try to figure out ways to get it done.
And never let anybody tell you no, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, I lived with that word for years.
Don't let anybody tell you, unless it's I want to kill myself. Then they can tell you no.
That's true. That is very true. But when it comes to dreams, there's no such word as no. And I should have learned that from my brother Stan, who Nicholas has read his book, because Stan doesn't take no. Stan is retarded, and Stan doesn't take no. But I was too stupid to pay attention to my brother, who's a bit younger than me, because I was too busy listening to people say no. If Nicholas had taken the word no and let it affect his life, he would not be the success he is. And again, Nicholas has been out there since the 1980s when independent authors were unheard of. And this man has just blown away everything that's out there. Nicholas, what would you tell a dreamer?
Well, like we've been saying, to never give up and never let them tell you no. I would just say, turn that dream into a reality. Don't keep dreaming about it. Do it, and turn it into a reality. Make it a physical thing. Do what makes you happy, and have that manifest into a reality that the whole world can enjoy. Because one thing, especially when you're talking about writers too, if it's something that you're passionate enough about, execute it, get it done, and then share it with the world. Make other people happy and show other people, because when you are successful, and you encourage other people to be successful around you too. So it's not just about you. When you let your light shine, it starts lighting other candles around you. You got to just keep up with your dream. Magic can actually happen. Just never give up. You could do it, and then you'll see. I'm telling you the truth. I know what I'm talking about.
And I'm glad you brought up the fact that when we let our own light, it's like taking that light out from under a bushel. When we let our light shine, we do indeed help other people to let their light shine, because then they see us and they say, well, I can do that. I know I can do that. And they get that confidence they might not have ordinarily.
Yes, that's why writers should support each other, especially independent ones, but let's just say all writers should support each other and should be true fans of each other's books and encourage and support, not blast each other away. I've gotten blasted myself a few times. Remember that guy that came up a few years ago that said all of my covers suck? On Black Bed Sheet books, Yes. It's like, don't let people discourage you.
Well, real
just
quick.
And do it in spite of them too, if that's what it takes. I mean, just use whatever energy you can and get it done, like I said.
Or because of them. Or turn it around and are because of them. Real quick, tell folks where you can be found.
Downwarden.com, primarily. DOWNWARDEN.com. Everything that's uniquely me is there, and as well as Black Bed Sheet Books. We have the Black Bed Sheet book print store there, and we also have our digital store. So I'm also on Facebook. Just look up Black Bed Sheet Books on Facebook, Twitter, Black Bed Sheet. And if you Google us, you'll get like dozens and dozens of pages. So don't confuse yourself. Just go to downwarden.com or Facebook or Twitter.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, tomorrow night, Francie and Friends, Nick's fiance, and I'm going to call him my co-host tonight because he's been a great help. Thank you, Joe. We'll be on at 11 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yes.
9 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern.
See, I get so confused.
Okay.
Nicholas, my dear, thank you so much. Don't hang up yet. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back on Wednesday night. And Wednesday night, I'm going to have kind of an open mic night because I want you guys to call in and ask me questions. I'm going to be talking about my books. I'm going to be talking about some other things that are on my mind. But I think it's time that y'all get to know me. Yes, Ian Bush did a beautiful job the other night when he stole the mic and fired all those questions at me. That were well done. He did a beautiful, beautiful job. But Wednesday night, I'm going to open up the mic, and you guys call in and ask me a question. I'll answer it. Nicholas will tell you I'm not afraid to answer a question if you ask me. But you got to remember, you might not like the answer. So be warned, because if I'm asked a question, Nick, don't I answer it?
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And it's not always the answer people want, but I will answer the question.
Yes. So, what year were you born?
1951.
There you go. See, she answered. I was just going to joke, and I was going to say 1970. I wanted to be younger. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to be Joe. It's got to be me.
Nicholas, thank you, my friend, for spending an hour with me. It's always, the time goes by too fast.
Yes, it does. Thank you for having me, too. It's always wonderful being on your show, being a part of this masterpiece you've created.
Well, it's a monster that has its own life form, and y'all are part of the monster. But I want to bring you. You're coming back because you're now a regular on the show, and people follow. They get a following on this show. It's really interesting that people expect my guests to come back. Johnny Carson taught me well. Joe, thank you so much for calling in and being a on the spur of the moment co-host. I appreciate it very, very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And, it's always wonderful to listen to Nick talk as well and get grilled by someone other than me. They're like, Nick, where are you, Nick? I'm here writing books or publishing things. Don't bother me. I'm busy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to cut us off here shortly. You guys hang on after the show goes dead. I always say at the end of the show, love yourself, don't live with regret, live your dream, because that's all you have. Okay, I'm going to put the show up. We're off the air now, and everything else we say is going into archives.
There we go.
I'm going to put the show up on my Facebook page when it archives, and I'll tag you in it. And, of course, I'll put it up on all the podcasts and tag you in it. So take it and run with it like you stole it, my friend.
Oh, sure. He will. I will post once I see Nick, and I'll just go like, yeah, look, here I am. No.
But I'm gonna let you get back to work, my friend, and when you get ready to take off and running with your show, let me know.
Oh, yes, I will.
We can do some trial runs.
Yes, certainly. That's what I need to do.
Okay.
Is to make sure, because I now that I got everything hooked up, I'm not exactly sure how to. I've never really had a video conference before.
All right, there's a link.
I might have, but I'm not sure how. I have to figure that out.
There's a program I'm going to send you. It's real simple. I've got it. I haven't played with it yet. We'll play with it together. I'll send you the link, and you can play with it, because what you can do is you have a live program on Facebook, and you can split the screen and have the person you're interviewing as well as yourself up where people can see them.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you're wanting
nice.
to do. Yeah, that's what you're wanting to do. So I'll send you the link to go download the program, and there's tutorials too, so you won't be flying blind. And then we'll play with it.
Sure. Have you ever heard of Manicam at all?
No, I haven't, but I'll look it up.
I'll show you some screenshots of where I'm at with that too. It lets you have I think 12 different screens up at the same time, and you can just click a button and go to that camera and this camera, or your desktop, or to anything else that's on your computer. Like if you have Skype, you could actually put that up and you can integrate that in, and then people can see it that way too. So there's a few things I'm figuring out. I'd love to see your software, and I'll show you what I'm doing too. I think the best way I could do that is send you some screenshots, and then you could go, oh, I see.
And then we'll play with it.
Yeah.
Before you take it off. Sounds like a plan. All right, gentlemen. We're going to
You have a great night, Yvonne.
Good night, Joe. Thank you again, my friend. Nicholas, I love you, my daughter.
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne.
You're welcome, honey. Love you bunches, and I will be talking at you and setting up another show for you to do with me.
All righty. Looking forward to that. Okay.
All right, baby.
I'll see you on Facebook.
All right, honey. Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
They're gonna kill the love of my life.
Casey!
If I don't go back to what I was doing.
Our line of work is quite brutal and quite ruthless.
How far would you go for love?
You steal truck, bring it to me. Then you make your money.
Is it dangerous?
Of course it's dangerous!
Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, with Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins.
All this trouble, all this pain, for love.
Collide, now playing. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.
They're gonna kill the love of my life.
Casey!
If I don't go back to what I was doing.
Our line of work is quite brutal and quite ruthless.
How far would you go for love?
You steal truck, bring it to me. Then you make your money.
Is it dangerous?
Of course it's dangerous.
Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, with Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins.
All this trouble, all this pain, for love.
Collide, now playing. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.